Hey guys, what's going on? I've received a couple of questions about doing this, and I figured instead of trying to answer them in question segments or sending responses just in text, I was actually going to do this as a new segment. Some people have asked if I could maybe give them some ideas as to how to open packages, how to when you first get figures, what you should do and whatnot. So I figured I'd start doing a series of PSAs, the Review Spot PSAs. Each PSA is going to be devoted to a different topic, and while granted a lot of diehard collectors probably will be familiar with a lot of this stuff and this won't seem very interesting, hopefully with these little PSAs it gives an opportunity for some of the new collectors, some of the people that haven't or have just started getting into collecting, just a little 411 parts to what you should do, things you should avoid, and how you should do certain things when it comes to collecting. So this is going to be an ongoing segment, and on the very first PSA, we're going to be looking at how to open packages of figures. Now granted, there are different packages on figures out there, and while I'm going to try to cover off on most of them, and this particular PSA on opening packaging, we're actually going to be looking at the plastic tabbed packaging. What plastic tabbed packaging am I talking about? Well, I've got a Star Wars figure here. This is Asajj Ventress. Hopefully I said that right. But plastic tabbed packaging is where you tend to get a little plastic flap on either side of the card, as you can see right here. This is one of the ways figures come packaged when you buy them, and today I'm actually going to show you how to open these up. Again, this probably may not be something that everybody will be interested in, but hopefully some of the newer collectors out there will get some tips. So what you're going to need for opening up a package like this, as always, is a knife. I mean, granted, you could use your hand, but this is probably the easiest and the cleanest way to open these packages. Be careful that you don't cut yourself. I have certainly cut myself on occasion because I'm an idiot. But how are you going to open up these packages while keeping the package nice and pristine? What you're going to want to do is retract your knife, and as you can see, there's a little flap on either side of the packaging. The way these cards are worked is that it's a single piece. It's flapped around and then taped on the back side of the card. In a lot of cases, the opened or the bottom end is actually not adhered to the card. There are some cases where they are, which unfortunately means a lot of times you ruin at least the bottom of the card. Star Wars figures actually is a good example of ones where you can generally get this open and you don't have too much of a problem. So what we're going to first want to do is take your knife and you want to stick it in the corner of the card, like so, and get it right underneath that, and then you're going to want to run the blade right underneath the plastic end of the tab. And you'll actually find, if you've got a pretty sharp knife, you'll find that tab or that flap gets cut pretty easy. The same idea you'll want to do on the other side here. You just tuck that underneath the plastic tab. One side I find is always worse than the other, so if you can't get it in the one end, try the other end. And you just want to stick your knife underneath and run it underneath that. And then what you end up with is two open flaps. And then from that point, you can usually keep this entire top part sealed, and you shouldn't have to worry about that at all. Then what you're going to want to do is find out where this bottom flap is located. And like I said, with the Star Wars figures, it's a little easier. There are like some figures where they have one of these flaps taped on the inside, and getting your knife under there is usually next to impossible. So you kind of end up having to rip it a bit and you damage the card. But at least the top part of it and from a distance, the packaging usually doesn't look too bad. So what you're going to want to do is find the, I hope you can see it there, see where the card separates from the flap or from the plastic card. You want to take your knife and just stick it under there. And you're going to want to take your blade and just run it down that tab. And usually if you can do it just right, which I'm kind of trying to do this fast, so I'm not taking as much time as I'd like to take here, but if you just run it along the bottom, usually you can just run it flush against that tab. You can usually open the tab up quite easy, and sometimes you might have to actually run your finger in there just to kind of get it open and separate from the rest of the card. Once that happens, it's just a matter of pulling those tabs back, opening up the card, and then you can actually reach in, and without having to disrupt any rest of the any of the packaging, you can usually just pull the figure right out, as you can see right there. From that point, it's just a matter of folding these tabs back over, and you really don't even need to apply tape. I mean, that's the beauty of it. You don't really even have to apply tape, and as you can see, the packaging for the most part remains untouched, and you can actually just put it on display like that without looking without it looking like you've opened it. You can take the figure, you can either display it if you wish, or if you want to play with it, or whatever you want to do. Just to get it back in the packaging, again, you're just going to want to peel away the flaps on the sides, lift up the packaging, and take the figure insert, and slide it back in there, and grab the flaps once again that you've cut, and make sure they're out, and you can fold it back over. Now again, it's up to you if you want to tape it. You don't necessarily have to tape it if you don't want. And there you have the figure once again, looking as if it hasn't been opened. So there you go. Wrap this video up here. There's not really much else to say. Like I said, there are variations to it. Some of the bottoms are a little harder to open than others, and while everybody, I'm sure, who is a diehard collector knows, how to open cards like this, hopefully this has shed some light on some of the newer collectors out there that maybe don't know how to open the cards just right. So hopefully this has helped. This was just a PSA on how to open plastic flapped carded figures. And stay tuned for many more PSAs looking ahead. And I'll see you collectors later. Later.